welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today, if we have time, we're going to die.
But as we both know, there's no time.
No time to die. That was bad. I'll go home now. We're talking about 007, No Time to Die, starring Danielle Craig-Gerson. But first, did you like anything this week, Dan?
Yeah. I'll just highlight a few things, not to take up too much time. But I read a Junji Ito manga called No Longer Human. I've seen this title pop up once in a while, and I was at Chapters, and I just happened to see some. And I read it, and then I kind of started to understand like that it's actually a manga version of a novel that the author wrote, and I should have wrote down his name. But apparently he was like a sort of famous Japanese author, and he died very young. And this book has actually sort of been described as really like self-autobiographical because the main character is a terrible person. And a manga writer as well. But he's like a womanizer. He's like a drug user, a drunk, and like he just destroys people's lives and everything like that. He like tries to commit suicide several times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, convinces other people to commit suicide with him and then doesn't go through it. So it's crazy. And, Junji Ito in his art style, amplifies the horror elements and this and that anyway. So it was a pretty intense read, but I did recommend it, I guess, but be aware that it was intense.
It sounds intense.
Yeah, no, it was really, because it's like it also takes place, I want to say, like he's born before World War II, and so like during the war he doesn't sign up, and so he's seen as unpatriotic and all this stuff like that. So yeah, it was really intense.
So a nice light read for a spring afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was, like I said, I had seen it before and just kind of picked it up because I like his stuff, and so I wanted to do that. I'm really, really trying to find a copy of Black Paradox, which is like one of his older ones, but I don't think they publish it anymore, at least not around here. But anyway, I'll also move on to, I also read a Spider-Verse event comic. Like it was just a, what do they call it? Like a trade collection, I guess, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
What makes me laugh about it is, so it basically mostly focused through like the mainline story ones where like there's some weird immortal beings and they're hunting down spider totems, which is what spider people are. And so they travel the multiverse and murder spider people.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And the reason they do that is that they're trying to like control the threads of fate, which the spider people can walk. And then, yeah.
When you're saying spider people, you mean like Spider-Man from Marvel, or is this a completely different thing?
No, I do mean, but like, there's Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl, Spider-Ham.
I just I don't recall them ever talking about like the webs of fate.
Yeah, well, and this is from the comics, of course. So it's it's more they've done more and everything like that. But it was really good. But what made me laugh a lot was as per any big comic event, because I've read Civil War as well, where Spider-Man's like, okay, you two, you go on to do this, and then what about someone? We need to send them here, and then like a couple of spider people are like, yeah, we'll go do that. And then as they like hop through a portal, like there'll be a little bubble that's like, see Spider-Woman #1 to find out what they do.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, they got to sell all those crossover comics.
Obviously.
Yeah. But it was good. It was intense. It was just an interesting, because the comics it was far more of a darker storyline than I was anticipating. But because I had no idea what it was going in. And then I was just like, oh, this is pretty intense because these guys are just murdering Spider-Man and Spider-Women all across the galaxies and the universe.
Yeah, that sounds intense.
Yeah. And then I finished Prelude to Foundation in my ongoing Foundation read. So I'm on to the next one, which I think is called Forward to Foundation. And then I also, for a slight Dan Brown corner, I finished Inferno.
Which, the Dan Brown corner.
Yeah, Dan Brown corner. So I got one more left, Origin, and I have to watch the movie still for Inferno, but I think I'll save the discussion a little more for later because maybe we might do an episode about his stuff
Oh,
after I finish reading it because
we're
why not after?
absolutely doing a Dan Brown episode because I'm reading Digital Fortress and I
Yeah,
don't want it to be in vain.
exactly. Well, and that's what I like. I wasn't planning on this, but it's like now that I've read almost 5 of them or whatever and watched all these movies, I'm like, I gotta talk about this.
Yeah, we got to talk about it,
Yeah.
obviously.
But yeah, so Inferno takes place in Florence for a little bit, and it goes around, but it's based off of Dante's Inferno, hence the name. And yeah, it was just very different from his other stuff, and it's just interesting to see the patterns and how the character is the same or different, and etc. So, but yeah, it was still fun. It's still just weird blockbuster writing of just like we're doing these things and da 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 da. Da. But yeah, that's. Oh, sorry.
At what point do you think Dan Brown had his breakdown? The Dan Brown breakdown.
Like I've said previously, I think in after Da Vinci Code and in between when he wrote Lost Symbol, something happened in his personal life, or he definitely has taken a darker turn. And Inferno is no different. It doesn't have a good outlook on humanity.
The phrase Dan Brown breakdown sounds like something that Princess Carolyn would say in BoJack.
Totally. But yeah, that's all for myself here. What about yourself, Devin? Anything you want to highlight?
Yes, I watched the Disney Pixar movie Turning Red, which is about like a preteen girl who her family has a curse that when they hit like puberty, basically when they get overexcited, like either too happy or too sad or angry, they turn into a panda, like a red panda.
Right.
And it sounds incredibly stupid, but it was an incredibly sweet movie, and it did a really good job of kind of like highlighting what it's actually like to be like a 12 or 13-year-old. And it's a good metaphor for like menstruation, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I recommend it. I thought it was really sweet and really well done.
Nice.
I also went to a movie theater and I watched The Lost City starring Sandra Bullock, what's his name? Channing Tatum? Tatum Channing.
Yeah, it's Channing.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
I also really liked that. It was funny because I was in the theater and everybody else there was like over 65 years old. Oh, Daniel Craig's also in it as like, no, not Daniel Craig. Daniel Radcliffe is also in it as a like Elon Musk-esque billionaire, which is really fun.
Mm.
Yeah, it was. I haven't watched like a recent romance movie, like a rom-com, in a long time, and I really enjoyed it. It was kind of like a fun adventure movie. And the jokes were actually like really funny and not specifically at anybody's expense, which I'm just kind of getting tired of as a comedic trope in general. So that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Sandra Bullock's publicist is like a plus size Black woman, which like if this movie was made 20 years ago, all the jokes would have been about her like eating and trying to have sex, but that didn't really happen in this one. She was just like a normal character who had reasonable things to do and funny one-liners. So yeah, I liked it. It was good. The other two things were I watched season 2 of The Home Edit on Netflix. Season 1 is better, but it's still organization porn and it'll make you want to clean out your closet, so I recommend it. And I also watched season 2 of Bridgerton, which I think I'm the only person that I've seen, according to like online reviews, who prefers season 2 to season 1.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know much about the Bridgerton, but I think I've seen some headlines that are like, season 2 is not good.
I mean, there's a lot of stupid stuff in it.
Mm.
Because it is based on a paperback romance novel, so your initial material isn't like highbrow, but it's still
Right.
it's still fun. I preferred it. The first one had a weird storyline where like the main character, the female main character, basically the male main character doesn't want to have sex to completion, and she just does anyways because she wants to be pregnant.
Right.
And that really, it just kind of bothered me in general. But the second one's a little bit more lighthearted. I thought the costumes were better. I enjoyed all the characters more. They finally hired somebody to actually fit the costumes to the people, so they're not like these weird fitting garments that look like they're all rented. So that's cool. But yeah, I'm the only one who prefers it to the first season, I'm pretty sure. But I liked it. I would skip season 1, just watch season 2.
Wow, fair enough.
And yeah, that's it. I only liked 4 things.
No, sorry, and I was going to say, if I may quickly jump back, you were just reminding me, I saw the Batman. And I actually went
yeah.
I went to the theater because you were like, oh, I went to a theater, and I was like, oh yeah, so did I. I went and saw the Batman, which with Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz, and I really liked it.
That's cool. I still don't want to see it though.
Well, that's on you.
I just think it looks like I don't know what the actual movie's like. I know that they cut trailers and stuff, but it looks really depressing.
Yeah. The funniest thing to me, sorry.
I did see an interview with Robert Pattinson, where he was like, I wanted to do a completely different Batman voice, but they wouldn't let me. I wanted to give him a soft, breathy voice, but they said no.
Nice. Well, and one thing I'll say, like, as I said, I did enjoy it, and it was a cool watch. But the funniest thing to me is that they were doing, like, if you've ever seen Watchmen or read Watchmen, how Rorschach has his journal, like the Rorschach's journal, and it's all intense. And then he was doing that Batman that is in this movie, and that was making me laugh because I was like, no, that we shouldn't be doing this.
Oh yeah, Bruce Wayne just gets home and writes in his journal at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, it's 100% what he does. He gets it. He's writing in his journal, and he's all like, the nights are blending, and I can't tell when I'm awake anymore. And other guys, and I'm like, yeah, we know it's hard being Batman. We get it.
He's just like in the Batmobile, pulls it out of his like glove box, and makes a few notes before he heads home.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyway,
no.
I thought that was funny, but overall, I did enjoy it.
I think part of the problem I have with that is that I'm picturing like the Batman Forever Batman, like George Clooney Batman.
Well, and one thing I did like about it is when the start of the movie, it's like he's already been Batmaning for 2 years, so there's not.
That's good.
Yeah, there's no like, oh, what's going, like, yeah, we don't see his parents die again, and all that stuff that it's like, yeah, we know he's Batman, right? So.
Aren't they bringing like Michael Keaton back as Batman? Isn't that a thing?
So.
What?
I would say they've talked about it for a little bit, of course, and I think I saw a screen test shot about a costume maybe, and I don't know. I'd say yes, bring him back. Why not?
Yeah, they could do like a Nightwing thing.
Yeah, or like you could do like Batman Forever, or if they really were doing things smart, but they're all up in the air with like stuff, because they could do the Flashpoint where he goes to the alternate universe where old Batman, Michael Keaton Batman, basically would be like murdering everybody, and Martha Wayne is the Joker. That'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But they probably won't because it's fun, and DC doesn't like to make fun movies.
Well, I mean, that's obviously not fun. Like it's dark and gritty and all that kind of stuff like that, but it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. But anyway, we're not talking about all that right now. But we're on to the No Time to Die from 2021.
Yeah, No Time to Die, 007, Daniel Craig. Dun, 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 dun. That's what I was trying to type in the chat before
I saw that. That was quite good. Well, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this movie was before the movie came out, it was delayed because of the pandemic, but you had said to me, you were like, oh, I saw a trailer for that. That looks kind of cool. I'd maybe check it out. And you've only had seen Casino Royale, I think I want to say.
Yeah, so I have not seen Skyfall or Spectre. Is there another one in between there?
There's Quantum of Solace as well.
Oh, when did that come out?
2008.
Okay. Right. Okay.
So yeah, so you've only ever seen the first one that he did, and then the last one he did.
Yeah.
So
all I needed.
Yeah, and I'm very familiar with the whole James Bond franchise. I've seen all the movies multiple times, And so I was just kind of curious, yeah, like what would you think about this movie? Yeah, as someone who isn't as familiar with the franchise. And so I just thought it'd be interesting to do because spoilers at the end, of course, because Daniel Craig has said before that he was like, oh, I'm not going to do any more and etc. And I've spoken to some people that hadn't seen the movie and I was like, oh yeah, it was his last one, blah, blah. And they're like, well, what if he comes back? And I was like, yeah, what if he does? Knowing how I was very shocked at the end of this movie in the actions that happens.
So, can we just say it? Spoilers.
Yeah.
Turn it off if you haven't seen this or whatever. He dies.
Heroic sacrifice.
Dies at the end. And my reaction was like, well, that was a choice. That was it. That was my whole, that level of enthusiasm.
Right.
And curiosity. That was a choice.
It was. Like I said, I wasn't expecting it. And when it happened, I was like, wow. I mean, and it makes perfect sense story-wise, but it was also just kind of like, he's never, I don't think he's ever died per se. There was like, when there was the one transition and then there's, but yeah, like he never is like on-screen death.
Yeah. I was wondering if like they just didn't want to make any more Bond movies, but then I'm like, no, they always make money, so I don't see that being the reason.
Yeah, and if you watch to the end of the credits, they do have the classic like James Bond will return.
Yeah. You know who's up for one of the potential James Bond replacements?
I don't know anymore because some of the names that were kicked around, like when early in Daniel Craig's run, like they'd be all sort of too old now, I think. So I don't know who they'd be looking at nowadays.
So they were looking at the actor that played Christian Grey in 50 Shades of Grey.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it could work. I don't know anything about him, so.
They're also looking at the Duke from season 1 of Bridgerton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he'd be good. He's classy.
Nice.
I don't know. I think Tom Hiddleston would be a good Bond.
I think he's too old now, though.
But Daniel Craig's like 500 fucking years old, isn't he?
I know. Well, and that's the point of the like, especially the last two movies.
With girlfriends that are like half his fucking age.
Well, anyway, let's get back. I guess we could talk. This one was directed by Kerry Joji Fukunaga. Sorry, not Fukunaga.
Okay.
I looked them up. It looked like they did some TV. They did some True Detective before and stuff like that. But first major feature movie.
Oh, wow. Good for them. Landing Bond right out of the gate.
Well, apparently they replaced someone else. They had another director, and then I think there was, creative differences or something like that, and they replaced someone else. They brought them in. They were also listed as with a writer credit along with Neil Purvis and Robert Wade. And I find this kind of interesting is that the budget was $250 million. But because of the pandemic delays, they had to make more money at the box office than they probably would have had to before, because they basically had to do 2 advertising campaigns for the movie, plus their loans were starting to accrue like interest that they had to like pay.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and so there was many articles and headlines about it kind of thing, that it was just like because it was Apple offered to buy the movie for their streaming service, and they were like, the figure they were floating, they were like, no, if you're going to buy this, it has to be not $250 million. It has to be like $600 million or something like that, right? To for them to break it even kind of a thing. So
holy smokes.
And then eventually when it was released in 2021, it did make $774 million at the box office, which is quite good. But it's not it's not amazing, but it was still pandemic-y time and everything like that. So maybe what you were talking about previously with the rentals of streaming and stuff like that. So they were really trying to push other angles to maximize their potential profits, I think.
Yeah, that was off air, but I rented it on YouTube to watch it last night. It was $7.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to watch it, you can rent it on YouTube I think it was $8.56 with tax. So
sure.
Be prepared for that extra $1.50.
I'll get you. Yeah.
It'll get you. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where you want to start, or how do you want to go through this here? I could talk a bit about the cast, or.
So I have 10 questions written down that'll probably spawn more questions.
Sure.
Would you like, maybe we should start with our initial thoughts on the film.
Absolutely.
Why don't you go first?
Okay.
And I'll go second.
Well, like I said, I saw this in theater. It was one of the movies I was really looking forward to before it was pushed back from the pandemic. So I was really looking forward to it. My first thoughts were it was too long.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough time with Rami Malek, unfortunately.
Who's that?
The main bad guy, Rami Malek.
Yeah.
And then also that the action sequences were really good.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I felt like the opening motorbike and car chase was really good, and then the one in the Norway woods was really good. In the end, when they're in the facility, was super cool. I just know I liked the aesthetic of it, and then the fight, and then the climbing of the tower was something a little different. I think he takes survives too many grenade hits there, but
it's like what's with those grenades?
yeah, exactly. He would be liquefied, but the way it was shot and everything was just kind of so different from the previous stuff, which was a little more wide and staticky, so you could really kind of see. So got a little in there, and it was a little grittier. And I don't know, I liked the action a lot in this movie, but like its structure was odd. But once it kind of was going, it was going at a good pace, and I was like, yeah, like this was great. And like, yeah, the Cuba action scene with the Paloma was a lot of fun. So I thought there was a lot of good in it, and it was just too bad, or it was odd that they were shoving so much in to try to like wrap up the Daniel Craig era, because it was like, here's all the Spectre guys, and oh no, they're all dead, and then here's this, and then it's like, oh, and Blofeld, and it's just like, so they couldn't unfortunately just focus on just make Rami Malek the bad guy and just deal with that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, but like that was it. Like, and again, this was me. I'm coming into it where I enjoy the franchise. I like Daniel Craig as James Bond, and so like I have kind of a overall or different look at it, I think, than other people. In terms of like comparing it to his other James Bond ones, I think for me, this one would probably be my third favorite behind Casino Royale and Skyfall.
What's your least favorite one?
I think it would have to be Quantum of Solace.
Is it because the name is stupid?
The name is a little stupid, but I feel like that's not entirely that movie's fault, because that was being made during the writer's strike, so there was all sorts of problems.
Oh, wow. He's been Bond for that long, hey?
He's been Bond since 2006.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is really crazy. And Spectre's all right, but it's definitely my second least favorite of the two. I like the idea behind Quantum of Solace, because basically the plot in that is the secret organization is Quantum, because they couldn't use Spectre at the time. It was a rights thing, which then bothered me later when they called it Spectre. It was just like, just keep going with Quantum, but whatever.
Wait,
they're what?
Spectre is Quantum?
Yeah. Well, Spectre is like then to be like, oh, it was the organization above Quantum controlling them all, kind of thing.
Oh.
Which is what Blofeld runs.
Okay.
Christoph Waltz. Yeah. No, but anyway, in Quantum of Solace, the plot is the bad guys, Quantum, they're like secretive, blah, 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 and they blackmail a government into giving them a part of the desert, which then actually has all of that country's like main water reservoirs. So then they can like blackmail the country into charging them more for their water rights, stuff like that. Anyway.
It's not really like an evil plot. It's just like any corporation.
I mean, it's technically evil because it's, stealing people's water, but
it's just capitalism, Dan.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, that was kind of my initial thoughts in it. But like I said, there were certain things in the movie, I guess, and we'll specifically talk to them after your initial thoughts, where I was like, you should cut these out, or they're too specific to people that maybe aren't super familiar with the entire James Bond, or the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, because I was like, no, just cut it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Like, let me know. What are you thinking here? What was your thoughts?
I thought this was a well-produced, competently made film with decent acting, and I had no idea what was going on. It might as well have been in German.
Well, some of it was in French.
Yeah, I understood the French fine.
Yeah.
But like honestly, like okay, I watched the opening scene with the little girl in the ice, and then we cut to James Bond in 5 years ago, and from basically that moment on, I'm like, what? Like there are bits that I picked up, but I'm like, okay, there's like a nanobot virus for people that affects them genetically, kind of.
Yeah,
Don't know why or what they're gonna do with that. And then also then the movie ended and James Bond died and everybody cheered. The end.
And everybody cheered.
Yeah, it was it's not like I didn't like okay. The thing is though, the lack of understanding of the plot and story didn't affect my enjoyment of the film because it looks good.
Yeah.
It had a good score. It looked neat. There was some cool visuals and some pretty good fight scenes. And I really had no idea what was going on in any car chase scene. Like, I'm like, I don't know if they're being chased or the ones chasing.
It's both.
Both, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there were some parts where I'm like, I understand what they're doing, but I don't know why they made that choice. Like when James Bond and Madeline at the beginning are in that town square and all the cars are surrounding them and there's that one guy with a gun just shooting at the window and Madeline's really freaked out, but James Bond's just like staring at her for 2 minutes while the guy approaches with the gun.
Yeah.
Trying to shoot out the window. And then all of a sudden he's like, okay. And then he turns on his like headlight guns and spins around in a circle. I'm like, I don't know what that's about. He's obviously mad about something, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, probably something to do with the grave exploding.
Yes.
But not really sure why he's mad at her. She was at the hotel.
Yeah, but that's why when he runs in, he's like, how did they know I was going to be there?
Yeah, I just thought he was like panicking. I didn't know he thought she did it.
That's the implication. He thinks she did it.
Yeah, but I didn't understand that. I just thought he was like in a panic, right? And then he's like, let's go. I'm like, well, if he thought she didn't, why didn't he just kill her? He's James Bond. He's allowed to kill anybody.
Not anymore. Technically, he was retired.
Oh, yeah. See, I got that when he was in Jamaica, but I thought that he had retired after that.
Right.
That wasn't clear to me that he was already retired.
Yeah, see, so like that's something at the end of Spectre, he retires.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to, can I just get into my questions?
Sure. And I was gonna say, yeah, at the end I have a few things as well that I want to say here. But yeah, let's go through some questions, I guess.
Okay, question number 1.
Yeah.
Who is Madeline?
Of course, Madeline is played by Léa Seydoux. She was introduced in Spectre, the previous movie, and it's sort of a play on, in a previous James Bond movie, I believe it's actually the one with George Lazenby. He meets a woman and he's like, hey, I like her a lot and everything, and I'm going to retire, leave the service to be with her. And that's the storyline that they go along with in that one. And like Madeline sort of reveals later in that secret room in Norway, Madeline's dad was Mr. White, who was the bad guy in previous movies. So he was a part of Spectre.
Oh, I thought her dad was Christoph Waltz.
No.
I thought that's why she was the only one that was allowed to be his therapist.
Well, so yeah, like she was technically like they say it a couple times how she's the daughter of Spectre. So because her dad was a Spectre agent, so he's like still kind of has that connection with her.
Oh, but James Bond just didn't know that when they got together?
No, he knew.
Well, then why was he mad about it?
Well, because he thought, she was always like, I didn't have anything to do with it. Like she disowned her dad, and then Inspector, before Mr. White kills himself, he says to Bond, he's like, look, they're gonna go after my daughter, protect her. It's the only thing I ask, kind of a thing. And so that's how they start to get together in that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then like Christoph Waltz and then the Italian or the thug guy with the weird eye, he heavily implies that he's like, no, she's still working with us, kind of a thing, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is Spectre?
So yeah, so like I was saying, in Quantum of Solace, they introduced a secret organization called Quantum, but in the classic Bond movies and books, the main organization is called Spectre, which is like the Society for, extortion, revenge, terrorism, and a couple other things. Spectre, it's an anagram or an acronym. Sorry, not an acronym. But it's an acronym for like that kind of thing. And it's just meant to be a secret organization that, wants to do terrorism and extort things and take over the world and classic bad guy plots.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ernstov Blofeld is the head of Spectre, which is Christoph Waltz, of course.
I think that's why I thought that he was her dad, because they said she's Spectre's daughter. And I'm like, oh, he's the head of Spectre, so that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's comical that in this movie when they do the Cuba sequence and then they just kill off all of Spectre.
Yeah. Okay, so that brings me to the Heracles thing.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, here's one thing I'll say before we start. It was something I was going to bring up later, but we can bring it up now. I sort of am convinced that maybe that they did some reshoots or changes, because I originally think that it wasn't nanobots. It was just a biologically designed virus. That was
do you think they put in nanobots because of COVID?
100%. Because
like
has been
virus makes way more sense than nanobots. One of my next questions is, why are there always nanobots?
Well, because of course it's like sci-fi tech, right? But I'm pretty convinced, because one of the things of COVID is that they're still unsure if it was created in a lab, even though we're pretty sure now it's not. But that was a big question at the time. And so I'm pretty sure they were like, okay, let's change this, make it nanobot virus so that it doesn't seem like it's like the real world.
Okay.
And of course, nanobots is just like shorthand for just like, sci-fi tech these days. But so that was, something new that they introduced in this movie. And in fact, that guy, I got him here, David Densik is his name, who played Orbachev. He was supposed to have a smaller role, but the director liked his performance and so increased his role in the movie.
Oh, at the beginning or in the lab scene?
Yeah.
When he like needs the other guy to unlock the thing. The other guy was on Taskmaster, which is one of my favorite shows.
Oh, really? So is that guy just like a comedian then, or is he the host?
Yeah, comedian or actor. He shows up in a lot of things. He was in Fleabag too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just this. I was like, hey! I got excited.
Yeah, and one of the reasons, again, I think that theory lends a little more credence is because it's like, they're talking about like working with like Ebola and like that kind of stuff, like not nanobots, right?
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait, the virus is nanobots?
Well, and so so the virus
Are the nanobots airborne?
Yeah. Well, so
the
virus he's created is the nanobots can be programmed to target certain DNA sequences to then kill people.
Right.
Cool. And then
so that's what Heracles is, right?
Yeah.
It's the virus.
It's the nanobot virus. And then it's implied, like that Daniel Craig and M got that guy out when he defected, and they were like, Daniel Craig was under the impression his research had stopped because they're like, he's going to create something that can kill the world.
Yeah. So the bad guy, Safin, right? That's his name, Safin?
Yes.
Okay. I think I understand his backstory, but I'm going to say it to you. And then I'm going to tell you what I think his plot was. And please correct me if I'm incorrect.
Radio.
Safin's family had a poison garden on an island because they like that. Then Spectre came and poisoned everybody except Safin, which made him break out in weird acne for the rest of his life. And then he put on like a mask and went and killed a random Spectre agent dude's wife and then almost kill his daughter, but he changed his mind and saved her.
Mm-hmm.
Then he intercepted Spectre plan to steal the Heracles virus by randomly calling a scientist and being like, Spectre's here, they won't kill you, swallow this USB thing and also just help them out. And then that scientist dude was supposed to program Heracles with James Bond's DNA, but instead he did it with all of Spectre's DNA, so that when they released the gas on the party, James Bond survives, but all of Spectre dies.
Yep.
Then he gets his therapist, which is the little girl Madeline, who he saved, to go to Christoph Waltz wearing nanobot perfume so that he will die. Yeah. But she chickens out and rubs it on James Bond instead, and then when James Bond touches him, he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Then he kidnaps Madeline and her daughter for reasons.
Yeah.
Because he's going to question mark profit.
Yeah.
That's what I was very unclear about what he was doing at all.
Well, yeah, and here, so there's a couple things. So, yeah, like his family, Safin's family, worked for Spectre, and that's why they had the island of poisons. And then, you know, the last person you kill in an assassination plot is the assassin. Mr. White poisoned Safin's family, but Safin survived the poison.
Oh, okay. Well,
so he was poisoned, but then, yeah, so that's what caused him to like break out and have a weird face.
Right. Okay, so but you know, he's still handsome.
Yeah, no, he's still Rami Malek handsome. But so that's why he's coming back for revenge. But then when he came to the house, so this is a story, this was something I would cut out from the movie. But this was a story that she explained in Spectre, how someone came to her house when she was a little girl. Because Bond was basically, it's like, hey, here's how you work a gun kind of a thing. And then she like takes it, like disassembles it, puts it together. And he's like, oh, I guess he's like, I don't have to show you. And then she tells a story about how like, yeah, a man came to kill us and I shot him kind of a thing, right?
Oh.
So they expanded on that to also include this part about how he saved her and he didn't die. And then they made him the bad guy. And here's what, to go to your end point of the plot is, I think, because at the end of the movie, they talk about how there's like these other ships coming to the island and how he's going to unload the Heracles. And they kind of look at the computer and they're like, oh, there's like all these people programmed. So I think he's selling like a poisoned pill to some buyers, like arms dealer type buyers who are like, oh, yeah, we'll be able to take this and we'll be able to control it. But it's actually already been programmed by him to basically just sort of like do an earth cleanse in a situation kind of thing, right?
But like, that seems weird to me because it seems like if he wanted revenge, he's already got it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, if he wanted, like, if he was going for money, I mean, he has enough money to have an island and staff it. Yeah. Like, how much fucking money does he need? If it was about power, then why would he sell it to anybody? Why wouldn't he just use it? So I'm not really sure why he continued with his plot after Spectre was dead.
Yeah, and you're 100% correct that there's no explanation as to what his next goal is. Like, there's no, oh, we received a video from him demanding something, or he's going to unleash the virus. It's more just like, we have to stop it so that it doesn't get out, kind of a thing.
You know what would have been a more interesting story is if he like got his revenge and then he's like, I'm just going to hold on to it. If I have it, no one's going to use it. And then MI6 is like, no, we don't trust you with it. What if you change your mind? And then it's kind of like a moral dilemma of like going after him.
Yeah. No, and like I said, that's kind of the angle they're going with, but they don't have that moral dilemma part where he was like, no, I'm just holding on to it and I'm just chilling on my island.
Yeah, no, they're like, because that would have been like, yeah, a more interesting story. But instead they're like, no, he's going to use it for reasons.
Just nefarious purposes. I think it's that it's like they talk about that there's these people coming and like buyers, but when you look at the screen when they're in the lab, that it's already been programmed and they've already done simulations about how it's going to spread. And he does have a couple lines about like, some cleansing and this and that. So I think they're just going with, he's just going to give it to these people and they'll start to accidentally spread it around the world.
Yeah, you know what? If he was like super racist and there was like a race that he wanted to eliminate, that would have made more sense.
Well, and that's what like Obrachev starts saying that kind of stuff like that before Nomi kills him, right?
Yeah. But like he wasn't the guy. He wasn't the in charge guy.
Oh yeah, he was just the guy who created it and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so while we're on Safin here.
Well, just before we continue on the Safin, but like just to go with that Madeline connection is like I wouldn't have started the movie with that whole sequence because people who don't see the previous movie don't know the story. Plus, she explains it later in the movie anyway when they're in Norway. So that whole 15 minutes or like 9 minutes or whatever was just extra added on before you even got to the start of the movie. Like it's 24 minutes before the credits even start. So
I know,
it's just
I
like,
took note of that too. I'm like, huh.
it's just too much, right? So like I would have done something quick, like where say they start on the beach and like Bond sees her and she jumps in the water and then she's swimming and we're gonna get her POV as he walks up, and then it's like you do like a flash where it's like maybe it shows ice and then you show the figure and then it's like she comes out of the water and it's just him, like Bond, and you're like, oh, that was weird. What's that about? And then later, when you see her burn the thing that says like the man in the mask, and then when she explains
that would have been way better.
Yeah, then when she explains it later, you're like, oh, okay, it was like this crazy situation from her childhood. Like we don't need to see the 10 minutes of it.
Agreed.
Anyway, but that's just me.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry. Talk about Safin. What's next?
Was Safin in love with Madeline?
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going there because of course he has the lines about how he saved her and like the kind of like, when you save someone you become their protector and this or that kind of thing. So I don't know if he was like in love with her.
At the end in the pool with Bond, he's like, we have everything in common. We're both guys, we both like cheese, and we're both in love with Madeline. I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
Or we both hate Spectre and we both love Madeline. I'm like, or we're both in love, I think he says, with Madeline.
Yeah.
There's nothing about cheese. I threw that in there.
Well, they had some notes about some different cheeses.
Yes. Just or like, do you like a soft cheese like brie or?
Yeah. Well, it's hard to know. I think because like when he sends her away, Madeline, that is, with the henchman, and she's supposed to drink that tea. Like, what is that tea supposed to do? Because she says it's like, oh, it's supposed to blind you. Is that true? Is she just making that up? Is it supposed to kill her?
Oh, I thought it was the tea that he was from the plant that he was showing the daughter, where he's like, this is the plant that'll make you be a good girl.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like,
yeah, okay, so here's what spun off in my head.
Uh-huh.
I thought that after he had rescued her, she'd maybe like lived with him to adulthood. And because I haven't seen the previous movies, and that like maybe he had been feeding her that tea and that the daughter was actually his. That's where I went. Because
right.
Also like when Madeline introduces, what's her daughter's name again?
I don't have it written down. Young
It's
daughter.
another M name. It's like
Maybe they're just calling her Maddie or something.
no. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But
Yep.
so when James finds Madeline in the house in Norway and he sees the daughter, she's like, "It's not yours." And then he's like, "But the blue eyes," and she's like, "It's not yours." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Oh, it must be Sapphic."
No, see, I knew right away because when he puts her on the train, she clutches at her stomach.
Oh,
and
I
was
thought
like,
she was clutching her purse.
No, I was like, oh, she's pregnant, and that was what she was going to tell him. And then when they cut 5 years later and they introduced a child, I was like, yeah, it's James Bond's child.
Oh, wait, she was gonna tell him something? I thought she was gonna tell him about. I don't know what I thought. I was just
No,
like,
well, she's like, oh, I'm going to reveal secrets and blah blah blah. And then yeah, as soon as she kind of got on the train and clutched at her stomach and started crying, I was like, oh, she's pregnant.
I thought she was just sad.
Well, she was clearly also sad. But
Yeah,
you're
no,
right.
see-
We don't have any information about like what happened in between when you rescued her to when we see her in Spectre and she's in the Alps as a psychotherapist. So you're correct. He may have took her in and she may have lived with her or she may have lived with him for a time. I don't know.
I feel like that was the plot of a Pierce Brosnan Bond movie where he was like, the girl had like Stockholm and was like working with the bad guy the whole time.
You are correct. That is the plot of the Bond movie, of the Pierce Brosnan one.
Yeah, I thought they were just doing that again.
Yeah, that was The World Is Not Enough.
You know what? That's my favorite Bond song.
Yeah, well, it's done by garbage, so it's good.
I know, it's so good.
Yeah.
I like Billie Eilish a lot, but I didn't really care for her Bond song because it didn't sound like a Bond song to me.
It's funny because to me, I liked it because it did seem like a Bond song.
Cool.
Because I even like the Adele one for Skyfall, and like I don't listen to Adele music, but I'm like, yeah, that's a cool theme.
Chris Cornell did the Casino Royale one, right?
Yeah, You Know My Name.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
It is. It's one of the best ones in the last like 10 movies.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what his angle with or what his affections are to Madeline. Obviously, I know that he's sees that he's in control of her in some way, but like that, it was like, yeah, what was that tea supposed to do, and why was he trying to force her to drink it? Because he was trying to kidnap her daughter, but then he just lets her go because she's just being annoying.
Yeah, she bites him, and he's like, "All right, see ya."
Yeah, he's just like, well, I can protect you, and she's like, oh, I want to go back for my stuffed animal. He's like, all right, and she just pieces it.
Yeah, I'm like, Does that all it takes?
Yeah, it's just like, man, kids are annoying.
Why didn't Daniel Craig just bite him? Okay, moving on.
Sure.
Wait, not moving on. Why do you think Madeline lied about her daughter?
To James initially?
Yeah, was she just like still mad at him?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both, or just like that he may, if he knows it's his kid, then maybe he'll try to like do something weird or whatever, and she's just like, I just don't want to deal with that. So
that's fair. Good for her.
Yeah.
Okay, switching gears a little bit.
Sure.
Why was there tension between Nomi and Bond?
Actually, this is funny because I was rewatching it last night before recording as well, and the whole time how, yeah, he's like she's ribbing him about like the 007 thing or whatever, and I was like, he clearly doesn't look like he cares, right?
Yeah, like I don't know why, like they tried to make it a thing, but like he just didn't give a shit, and then like he retired and you got his old job, like. That happens all the time. Why are you making a thing out of it?
Yeah. Well, and that's what's funny too. Like on a rewatch, I was just like, yeah, like this seems like they're trying to make this some kind of like rivalry type thing, but it's like, yeah, he's so more veteran. Like he says to her, she's like, man, you're really young to be like a 00 or whatever, and she's like, oh, I'm a high achiever, and he's just like, whatever. And then I was just like, yeah, like he doesn't care. Like he's more about just getting his job done. But
Yeah, like they
could
try
see,
to have like a moment towards the end of the film where she's like, reinstate him as 007. Like
yeah.
it's like a big deal, but like he literally didn't care the whole movie.
Yeah. No, exactly. I agree that that part should have been changed, because I could see that like maybe she's bristling under like how he's back and she's got his number and being like, well, I'm better of an agent than he ever was, kind of a thing. But it's like you said, the whole time it's like he doesn't care. So it's just,
Yeah, like I mean,
it's just
if
very
there was
one.
like if there was some indication that she thought she was going to get fired or demoted, I could see it being a thing. But I just, like, I feel like even if you're young, if you work your way up to being a 007 at a, like, you have to have a certain amount of, like, confidence. And she just seemed very insecure about it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It seems almost super one way in how she's insecure about it. But I could see, like you're saying, that, yeah, if we had a scene or if there was like something that they were like, oh, 007, you really kind of screwed that up previously. Like you're on thin ice, kind of a, classic kind of situation. But it was like there was nothing like that. It was
Yeah,
like
like
they were
if Moneypenny was
competent.
if Moneypenny was like, oh, I guess we're gonna bring back James or something to her, or I don't know, something like that. There would have been at least a little bit of motivation, but she's just like mad that he had her job before she did from the moment she meets him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's not in like a previous movie, like they don't have a background of like not getting along.
No, she was, fully introduced newly into this movie. I did like that cutaway though, when M's like, get me 007, and then it cuts to James in Jamaica, and then later it's revealed she's 007, and I was like, oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I thought that was cool too. I just, if there was like a past rivalry, or if she was like, yeah, if she thought she was gonna lose her job, if she had any motivation for kind of being a dick to him,
Yeah.
that would be that would make sense. Like I don't like okay. I don't understand. Like a lot of people in the YouTube comments were like, "Oh, it has to be woke now, feminist agenda," right?
Yeah, because there's a black woman 007.
Yeah, right? I'm just like, but like, if you, okay, so let's say they do have a feminist agenda, right? Let's say they are just trying to be woke.
Yeah.
Then why would you make her so fucking petty? Right? Like, I have no problem with them trying to be like, no, women can be double agent or secret agents too. I'm like, yeah, cool, great. Let's just have a competent person who treats her colleagues with respect. But instead, they made this weird choice that they're like, no, she's got to be like super insecure and petty. That'll show people.
Well, and it's one thing as well, like, so Moneypenny, whose actual real name is Naomi Harris, is she was in the beginning of Skyfall. She was a field agent working with 007.
Oh.
And yeah, I really liked it and everything. But then spoilers for a movie came out, a decade ago. She shoots James in the beginning of the movie and he falls off a bridge. That's the whole Skyfall situation there. And she kind of like takes herself out of the field because she's like, well, I shot a fellow agent, and she feels bad about it.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Which I always kind of was like, yeah, but I was also like, oh, that's too bad. I would have liked to see her in the field again.
Yeah, totally. But no, instead they have a new, like, very competent person, seems good at fighting, does the job by the book, doesn't break the rules the way James does, but she's super fucking petty about it.
Well, maybe that's it as well, because, of course, Bond broke all the rules all the time, and she's all like, well, you don't have to do it that way. You can do things right by the book. But yeah, I don't know. Again, on the rewatch, I was just like, oh, this is totally the one way. Like, James never comments about it, never has a rejoinder about anything about how, like, oh, you took my number, or like nothing.
He doesn't even look annoyed. He just looks normal.
Yeah, the only person he's annoyed at is M the whole movie.
Yeah. Hey, when did Judi Dench die in this series?
She died in Skyfall.
In Skyfall, okay.
And so, no, yeah, she died. Retire.
And then Voldemort took over? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's I don't know what it is. Like, okay, listen, I don't want to just like comment on somebody's body, but he looked very strange to me the whole movie. Like there was something, and I don't think it's just because he didn't have Voldemort makeup, but like Ralph Fiennes or Fiennes or whatever his name is just looked very like alien to me. I don't know why.
Well, especially the scene in the office when the two of them are talking. I think that's supposed to be the point, is that he's like, because of his decisions and the stresses of the job, like he's drinking more, he's like not in, making the best judgment, but he still thinks he's doing the best, right? Like when he's first introduced in Skyfall, he's like an ex-military guy, he's very clean cut, and like he's on like a committee that's sort of looking into what MI6 is doing, and he wants to like change it for like the better, but I think it's just showing that, like, yeah, the stresses of the job and the decisions that he has to make, they don't make for a good time, right? So.
Yeah, I also thought that it was very like hypocritical for Bond to comment on how much this dude drinks.
Yeah, I thought that as well. I was like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm like, you are literally a functional alcoholic. You don't have any legs to stand on.
Yeah. I think James is just saying you don't do it in a business meeting. He's like, you have your drink afterwards.
You have 6 before and 4 more when you're done.
Exactly. You don't do it during the meeting.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
What was your question? We derailed off that one, sorry.
I don't remember, but I have another question.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Paloma was great. I would love to see a movie with just her being like, I've only had 3 weeks training, and being awesome.
Yeah.
But who was she? Why was she in the movie? And why was she only in the movie for that like half hour?
Yeah, so first thing about the 3 weeks thing is that Ana de Armas was recommended by Daniel Craig after working with her from Knives Out. And
nice.
she was brought in, though, and she actually only had about 3 weeks to train to do her action sequence. And so she was like always telling with the director or the stunt coordinator as well. She's like, I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Like, this is a lot. I only have about 3 weeks. And she said it so much that they put it into the movie, basically.
Nice.
Yeah. And of course, she pulled it off. I thought she was excellent in the scene.
Honestly, all the scenes with her were the highlight for me in the movie.
I think for many people they were, because they were more fun, and it was like in Cuba, and she's wearing this elegant black tail or black tie dress and kicking ass, and Bond is in his tux, classic stuff. But
yeah, and they were like a little bit flirty, but there wasn't like a heavy relationship vibe, and like, I don't know, she was competent. It was really funny when she just drives the car into that scaffolding to get the scientist.
Yeah.
Like, that was fun. Like, I was like, oh man, if it was just her, I would watch an entire movie of like the adventures of Paloma.
Well, and so, yeah, but to go back to like who she is, so she was clearly a CIA asset that Felix had, trained or arranged, so then James could work with her to then capture the scientist. So she's just a CIA agent that they have in Cuba.
Oh, okay.
That's what I kind of took away or surmised from that.
So is Felix in other movies too?
He's been in all of the ones that Daniel Craig's been in.
I don't remember him in Casino Royale, but that makes more sense when he said, "Oh, I had a brother. His name was Felix now."
Yeah, so he meets him in Casino Royale. He's one of the other players at the table, and then he stakes James to help him win against Le Chiffre. And yeah, he shows up in all the other movies just here and there to help out James in certain sequences and stuff like that. But yeah, so he's just like, fellow CIA agent guy.
Okay. So the stupid blonde CIA guy, he was just working for Safin the whole time, right?
Yeah, so Logan Ash, he was at some point started to work for Safin and then turned Cyclops guy after the Spectre killings and stuff like that. So he was just
what? No. I mean Felix's partner.
Yeah, Logan Ash.
But he wasn't the Cyclops guy.
No, he wasn't, but he like recruited the Cyclops guy.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant he turned into the Cyclops guy. I'm like, Dan, those are two different actors. You can't fool me.
He plucked out his eye, and he's just like, now I'm Cyclops guy. No.
I think that covers all my questions.
Really?
I'm sure I'd have more, but those are the main ones that stood out.
Fair enough.
I do have like kind of one note that you pointed it out as a scene you really liked, but I didn't understand. I can't remember which car chase scene it was. Mm-hmm. I think it was one that was in the forest.
That's the one in Norway. Yeah.
But it's like a choreographed like 3 Range Rovers and like 3 or 4 dirt bikes all jump over the hill at the same time, and I thought it was really stupid.
No, yeah, like the beginning of it's pretty good, but then when all those other stuff gets introduced, I was like, whatever. But I just mean like the part in the forest, I liked.
Yeah, that was cool when they get out of the car.
Yeah, and it's all foggy, and then he uses that to his advantage and stuff. Like that was pretty sweet.
That was awesome. I just thought that one shot of like all the vehicles jumping over the hill at the same time. I'm like, what is this? Fuck off.
Well, and it's so like just so classic like movies type trope, because it's like they're being chased by the two, and he runs the one off the road, and then the other one like off of that other ramp, and does a spectacular car flip and everything. And I was like, yeah, he took them down. And then like you said, it's just like boom, this whole extra army comes out of nowhere. You're like, where did these guys come from?
I don't even mind that it's an extra army. It's just the fact that they like jumped over a hill in like perfect unison.
That's how you look badass.
Obviously, they did like synchronized driving classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a confusing plot for me.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's one of my sort of negatives as well, that they never really established like, what's Safin's goal beyond killing Spectre, kidnapping Madeline? What's he doing with Heracles? We don't know, unfortunately. Like, we're never told. It's just something nebulous. It's a threat. Okay, we get it. It's bad, but why?
Like, if he was like so horribly disfigured that there was no way that he could integrate himself into society, and maybe we got like a background, like a scene with him trying to like communicate with people, but like they're completely repelled by him. Maybe even like give him a couple blind assistants, because that's the only people who can like be in the same room as him, and he's just like, I'm miserable, I want the world to burn. I would have been fine with that.
Sure.
But I mean, like, they got Rami Malek, so they had to use his good looks.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, that's one of my unfortunate complaints, is that we just didn't get as much time with him, because they were trying to wrap up so much stuff by including, like, I didn't even think they were going to include Blofeld and Spectre and everything, and I was like, oh, they are. Like, I was like, that's weird, but it's,
I just feel like it's a waste to have Christoph Waltz in your movie and not have him just be a complete ham.
Sure.
Like Inglourious Basterds style. Like, there's nothing that I like better than like an unhinged, quirky villain.
Yeah.
And he's perfect for that. So like, I wish that he had been more like, I wish that he had more space to be like psychotic.
Yeah, and even unfortunately, in because he's Inspector, that's when he gets captured. He's right. Same kind of style where he's more reserved and this and that, and because it's like, he's supposed to be like this head of this organization, but it doesn't go to like you said, the classic kind of like mustache twirling or petting his cat, being like, yes, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, like, why wouldn't they, if they have him as an actor, why wouldn't they just let him be like so camp, like over the top, right? Like, I mean, like I know that Javier Bardem was the bad guy in Skyfall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, he could just be himself.
Yeah, which he was.
Which is fine. Like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Great, but like, when you have an actor like Christoph Waltz, it's a shame to not let him be insane.
Yeah, and it's just so odd that, like, at least for me, my two favorite performances with Christoph Waltz is Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained, and they're both written by the same guy.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you want like a bland villain who's just like vaguely intimidating, like hire literally any other male actor. Right? I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
No, it's true. It's like I said, it's just they were true. That's why again this movie was so long. It was like, and that's why I'm like, you should have just cut that beginning sequence, so then maybe we could get more time with Christoph Waltz or Rami Malek, or you could get that 10 minutes to then integrate that elsewhere, rather than the 10 minutes we did get with the flashback sequence.
Yeah, that would. They just trying to think of what I would cut out. I would cut out everything with the daughter. I think that was stupid. Don't bring kids into movies.
I was fine with it. It was a plot device.
Well, I felt like they had to kill Bond at the end because they can't have him just being a husband and dad in the next movie.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, is every time he's tried to retire is that essentially it goes wrong. He's not meant for that kind of life, right?
Yeah, is that what the point was?
I mean, it's one of the points is that like he's not built for that, and he's the man to save the world behind the shadows, right?
I think I would have cut out the opening sequence, like you said. I would have cut out. I think he probably could have cut out Christoph Waltz completely too. Didn't really add anything.
Well, and it's also interesting in that scene where, like you said, Madeline's got the nanobot perfume on, but technically, unless it wasn't programmed correctly, or I was rewatching it to try to figure out the line, like technically Bond already has the nanobots in his system from Cuba, and they probably were already programmed to target Christoph Waltz anyway. So.
Oh, yeah.
So it's ambiguous there whether or not he was actually going to kill him, whether or not he touched Madeline or not, right?
You know what? So because I thought that Christoph Waltz was Madeline's dad, there was a little bit of tension for me.
Right.
Because I thought that he might give the nanobots to her after Cuba.
Right. No, you're correct. Yeah.
I don't know. That movie would have been better at just 2 hours, I think. If you're going to cut out 45 minutes, it would have been improved.
I don't know about that. That's a lot to cut out, but I could definitely see cutting it down to 2:30 or cutting that sequence, but to beef up other sequences to keep it at 2:45 if you want.
It's almost like James Bond should start being like mini series, like 10-episode series, if they want to do like a big overarching plot over 2 movies like that.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of the few times that they've done that kind of a thing. And because not every, but many James Bond movies, there's some small elements that carry over, but it's like they're just one-offs, right? It's just like, here's an adventure of James Bond doing a thing. And
yeah, which is all I want, right?
Yeah, and that's what's made it. That's its strength, right? Like it's not the Bourne series where it was from a book series. I mean, obviously it is, but you know what I mean, where like the story continued across a trilogy. It's just like, no, here's an adventure, James Bond doing a thing. The bad guy's got to stop. Cool, right? So I think, they'll take lessons from this, I hope, and they can then in the next reboot kind of do that again and just focus up on that. Or if you're going to do like a trilogy or whatever, map it out. Like we've said about Star Wars many times, just map it out.
Map it out, guys. Just map it out.
Just map it out and then do it, right? Because and that's what I was saying when I heard Rami Malek was the bad guy and everything, and like I didn't care if Spectre wasn't involved in this movie, because like that's an element that it's not important, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it would have been nice if he was in the movie a bit more. I think he's got like 20 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, like I said, I wish there was some more with him as well.
Like he's kind of got one of those soft voices that like he could be really fucking creepy if he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
But instead they're like, no, you have some bad acne and you like to wear kimonos. Here's your poison garden. Goodbye. It's like enjoyable enough to watch, but I probably won't rewatch it ever again.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, and sorry, just to go back to another thing about it is that like when they're in the facility, and then there's that pool with those people that are working in it, and there's all like those fluorescent lights, and it's like they're standing above it, no protection, and they're okay. But then when that guy gets fallen into it, and then it starts to gas, then it becomes a big thing. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what's this pool about?
Yeah, no, that was weird too. And then I also thought, like, Bond wasn't there when they figured out that it was like a melty water.
Right. Yeah.
So like, I'm like, oh, is he gonna have to run through it or something? Like, is he gonna get like horrible acid burns, or is he gonna have to like, is he gonna get a little bit on him or something? And I'm like, oh no, he's just gonna run beside it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It was like, oh, is the only way out is that he has to like swim through it or something? It's like, no, it's just gonna, just gonna run beside it. We're gonna set this up like it's real dangerous, but don't worry, no one gets hurt.
Well, Oberchev gets kicked into it, which that's fine.
Yeah, well, I didn't care about him at all in the whole movie. I didn't care about anything he said or anything he did. I vaguely knew that he was a scientist, and I understood that he was probably a bit racist.
Yeah, there was definitely that going on.
It was well produced enough, though, that it wasn't like a Suicide Squad situation where I'm like, why is this so bad or anything like that. Like, it was competently written and stuff, but I wasn't sure about the minutia of the plot or the relationships between the characters.
Yeah, and like I said, that was, I think, a pitfall that they were referencing too much, or maybe assuming that people would know, when it's just like, people aren't going to know. Many people, I mean, Spectre was pretty popular, but was 6 years ago at this point, that it's just like, it's not gonna hold the same weight, I think, to some people.
I also like, was Q played by somebody else in Casino Royale?
There was no Q in Casino Royale.
Okay. Was Simon Pegg ever Q?
So he's in the Mission Impossible franchise.
Yeah, I haven't seen those either, but for some reason I thought Simon Pegg was in James Bond.
No, not that I'm recalling. I mean, you're making me question now, but no, yeah. So Q was introduced in Quantum of Solace. No, he was introduced in Skyfall. He wasn't in Quantum of Solace either. No, he was. No, he was introduced in Skyfall.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was one thing too. In this movie, there wasn't as much gadgetry either. Like, it was just his watch. Yeah,
he had a
fancy
cool watch.
Yeah.
And QDAR.
And the QDAR, yeah. But yeah, just some behind the scenes stuff I wanted to mention. In the beginning scene with the car chase and the motorcycles section, the stunt team used about 32,000 liters of cola on the streets. And the reason they use cola is because it makes the surface sticky, but then also it can be washed away without damaging. Yeah, like, it doesn't damage the bricks works and stuff like that, because they filmed in Italy, like, and they were like in what is it, Matera, so they can't damage that stuff. And that wall jump was performed by he went up like an 8-meter ramp at 60K to get airborne enough to be able to like do that wall-to-wall jump, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
You know the scene where he jumps off the bridge at the beginning?
Yes. Sorry, right in the beginning. Yes.
So I can't watch any scenes like that without thinking of Charlie's Angels 2. Because they do the same thing, but with a helicopter in that movie.
Yeah, a good stunt looks good.
Or, sorry, not a helicopter, a truck with a helicopter on top of it. Do you remember that scene? It's so good.
I unfortunately do not, but I'll take your word for it.
They drive off the bridge with the truck that's got a rope tied to it or whatever, and the truck swings down, and then they climb into the helicopter and take off in the helicopter as the truck's falling.
Nice.
It's so stupid. But so good.
Yeah. No. And then, yeah, just to kind of piggyback, they built 8 of those DB5 Aston Martins for the chase sequences. For like the chase. Yeah, because they had some that had like, the smoke capability, some with the fake guns in the front, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, they had 8 different ones.
Can I I ask you something as like a man with testosterone?
I suppose.
Did you think that the car spinning around with the machine guns out of the lights looked cool?
I want to say yes. No,
Okay.
the machine gun part, I don't know. I appreciate it more from just like the maybe not look cool, but I like the way it was spinning and the way it was shot was really cool, and how it guns down the guy and the one guy jumps behind the car to take cover. I more preferred the spin when he did the smoke release, which I guess was part of that same spin.
Yeah.
But again, I think more from the the practicality of doing it. Like it looked cool. Like it didn't look CG, which was rare.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it still looked stupid though.
I know you did, but that's fine.
Wait, when they're in the car, why does he wait so long to do that? Is he like trying to get her to be like, haha, I'm part of the bad guys?
Yeah, he still suspects that she's a bad guy, and so if they're gunning at them and they're not gunning at her and she's just calm, then he'd be like, well, she's clearly in on it, but she was freaking the hell out, right?
Well, why didn't she think he was in on it then? Because he was really calm.
Yeah, but he's unflappable under pressure. He's James Bond.
I just think if I was in her shoes, I would think, man, this guy's probably working with Spectre. They're only trying to shoot me. I better knock him out and then spin the car around in a circle while I shoot a machine gun.
Yeah, so it was basically because he was still unsure if maybe she was working with Spectre or not, and then her clear emotional distress convinced him that that was not the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he was still mad and put her on a train.
Yeah, still mad, put her on a train because he felt betrayed, also felt that they were still after them and that they would be like, yeah, we're out, we're separated now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right.
But he was being dumb, shouldn't have put her on the train, or he should have gone on the train with her, right?
Yeah. Oh, well.
It's like, you're both sort of like super spies here. You can do your thing.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine. They got together in the end, and then he died.
He dies.
You know what else? He's kind of a dick because he took that little girl's rabbit.
No, he was trying to bring it back to her.
Yeah, but like
he got blown up with it.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't try to like get it to her in any way. He just kept it and then got blown up. He could have chucked it into the ocean. It would have been something.
It was clearly an emotional memento that he could hold before dying, Devin. Come on.
Yeah, but it's her favorite toy.
Well, it's on the Poison Island now. She lost it.
Yeah, that sucks. It sucks that he steals children's toys and then blows them up with himself.
He found it in a tunnel and on the Poison Island, Devin.
He could have put it on a boat. It's the boat out to sea.
He had to get back to the tower to open the doors. It's intense and emotional.
I'm just saying, he is James Bond. He could have figured out how to get her bunny to her.
Right.
But he chose not to because he was lazy.
And I did like that a little bit. I'm sorry.
Bleeding all over the roof like an asshole.
Yes. Yeah. No, I was just saying I did like a little bit how they like once in a while in the previous James Bond, because it was many of the Cold War era ones. Of course, there was Russia stuff, but this where they're like launching missiles at the island and getting buzzed by like other countries, and they're like, we're gonna have to answer to like Russia, America, Japan, like all these people want to know what's going on, and they're just like, we're not telling you, sorry, we're gonna blow this thing up.
Yep. The idea how like James just bosses around M and also just calls him Mallory the whole time.
Yeah. Well, that's his name.
Mallory.
Yeah.
I know that's his last name, but it also just sounds like he's trying to insult him.
Yeah, exactly.
Might as well just call him Princess.
Well, anything else? Of course, the score was done by Hans Zimmer. Bring that up. I like the scores.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Yeah. Well, you know what I liked about this score? Again, I was thinking a bit about it last night too. Is that it is a Hans Zimmer score, but like it's a James Bond score as well. Like it some people like Danny Elfman, for example, you listen to his stuff, it's mostly always Danny Elfman.
Yeah,
And this, I was I was
if you listen to Oingo Boingo, like specifically Nasty Habits by Oingo Boingo, it sounds like it came out of A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Seriously, you should go listen to it after this and you'll be like, that does just sound like Jack singing.
Nice. But yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a James Bond theme, or a James Bond score, not just like a Hans Zimmer score, which credit to him. He's good at his job.
Totally. Very good at his job.
Yeah.
I did also like the weird little, he's in the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And the tunnel looks round like a barrel of a gun, and he does his little pose. I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, no, I like that too, because that sequence was mostly shot a lot in IMAX as well. And same thing with the forest sequence in Norway. There was a lot of IMAX. So in the theater, it looked pretty intense.
Oh, cool. It didn't look as intense on my Chromebook.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I did the film justice because I didn't watch it on my phone.
Very good. Very good. One step up.
Yeah.
David Lynch would be proud.
I hope that, what's his name? The director that starts with M, Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Listens to this part specifically and cries.
Yeah. This beautiful 65 millimeter frame image that is meant to be seen at like 2 stories, and you're like, yeah, I watched it on my 14-inch Chromebook.
Yeah.
It looked good. It looked good.
With the screen kind of tilted because I thought the movie was too dark, so I tilted the screen so it was a little bit lighter.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a dark sequence. There, like I said, he's in dark tunnels the whole time. So.
Yeah. Perfect.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. Oh, I wanted to do one quick thing. Sorry, it was about box office stuff. I thought this was kind of interesting because, like I said, it took in 774 million. But I took all of the box office from all 5 of his movies, it adjusted them to 2022 dollars in inflation, and just to kind of see where it stacks. And so this one comes in 4th out of the 5, so second to the bottom. But like I said, it was pandemic time. So it's like, who knows?
What was the worst performing one?
That was Quantum of Solace. That was the one that came out in 2008.
Oh. Why was that, do you think?
Like I said, it's just not very good.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately.
What's the best performing one?
So the best performing one is Skyfall, adjusted for inflation. Like at the time, it made 1.8 or 1.1 million dollars. Adjusted to today's dollars, it's almost 1.4 billion dollars that it took in.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, followed by Spectre, which came out after it in 2015, and it's about 1.1, just under 1.1 adjusted to today's dollars in billions. Yeah, followed by Casino Royale, and then this one, and then Quantum of Solace. So I just thought that was kind of interesting, is that it's not there's been diminishing returns, but like Skyfall was the pinnacle high point because it was really good, and everyone was like, yeah, people probably saw it multiple times. Casino Royale was kind of the intro one, so people weren't sure, I think, at the time. Mm-hmm. But what was also interesting, though, is that the budgets progressively got bigger. So like Casino Royale made like 616 in 2006, but its budget was only like 140, I think, or 145.
Oh, okay.
But then the next one, the budget went up, and then it went up and went up. Like the last 2 they spent, like this one was 250. The previous one was about 225, I think. Skyfall was about 225, I think, again. So there's been a budget increase, and it's like not totally always been as, say, successful. So there's just like there's that difference there as well.
So this was the most expensive one that they did?
It was the most expensive one, yes.
Ah. Well, it does look expensive.
Sure. Well, and like I said, it was the first one that actually was shot on IMAX as well. So that ups its costs. It was also, like I said, these are budgets in this one in 2020 dollars. So 145. I didn't do the math on like the previous budgets, what it would be like in an inflated dollar.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just thought it was interesting that it was like, it's the last one, but would it have done better if it was released, pre-pandemic? I don't know. per se, but I think it would probably have gotten closer to $1 billion, I think, if all theaters were, say, more open. Because, like you said, it's a good watch, but it's not like great.
Okay, I have a follow-up question for you.
Okay, sure, sorry.
Okay, Dreamcast. James Bond, Bond girl, and villain.
Like, what do you mean? As in, like, I'm just casting from like for like a next movie, or from like all of them together? Like,
oh no, like you have unlimited resources. You have a time machine. They can be living or dead, any age. Go.
Oh, geez, this is too much. I mean, like, I think I would agree that if you're going to do another James Bond,
yeah,
you reboot it back to Cold War era, or like you reboot it back to like the 60s or something like that kind of thing, right? Make it a period piece. So then you could go back to some more fun gadgetry and some crazier stuff like that. Man, I don't even know. Like that, see, like I'm a big fan of like all of the Bonds in their way, but like I would like to see new actors and everything like that. So I got nothing when it comes to that question. If you're saying like which Bonds I would like to see, like I think Connery was the best, but I like Daniel Craig's Bond, especially when he was in.
I mean, like, you get to cast any actor ever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's too big. It's too wide of a question.
Okay, who would you like to see as the next Bond then?
Well, that's what I was gonna say is like I don't even know who could be cast as like the next Bond, because I think it'd be cool to take somebody who's a little more unknown and potentially like get him in there. I think it'd be neat, and not no shade on Daniel Craig, but I think it'd be cool if you could get somebody who could do a little bit more of his own fighting.
Oh yeah.
And to like get that angle going, because I did like that a lot. It's in Quantum of Solace. Like he doesn't really have a bad guy to fight at the end, so he's just like super outclasses him. But in like the sequence leading up to that, he has to like storm a parking garage, and he's just like barreling through people and everything like that, like a blunt force. So it's pretty cool. But it'd be cool to have somebody who could be a little more. Yeah, but I guess he's supposed to have an SAS background. So yeah, like somebody who could be more proficient in that kind of side of it. But I honestly don't know. I got no answers. I got nothing, because like I just don't know which direction like say the studio would want to go. But I would think it'd be cool to like take it back, reboot it into an older era to make it just some more spy fun again,
Okay, I've got the best bad guy though for the next movie.
Okay.
They should just cast Michael Sheen and let him be like crazy.
Sure. Yeah.
Like 100% would love that.
They just should do is they should cast Michael Sheen and David Tennant and have them be a bad guy duo.
That would be fun too.
Yeah.
Oh, if they were a bad guy duo, but also like a gay couple.
Well, I was gonna say that, or they're like bad guy rivals, and they're like, but they don't want to show each other up too much.
Oh, that's just a completely different movie that I would love to watch.
Yeah.
No, I think Michael Sheen would make a really good bad guy.
Yeah, he's a very good actor.
I know that there was like people didn't like the female 007, but if Paloma became the new James Bond, that would be really cool too.
Yeah, well, and there was always talk of like doing a Michelle Yeoh spinoff from the Pierce Brosnan ones, or a Jinx spinoff, but the Jinx spinoff, especially at the time, was unfortunately the Charlie's Angels movie, because they didn't do so hot, kind of put that idea on ice, because she was fun and kicking butt in there too. So, but it's like every time like one of the Bond women that is kind of more action oriented, they're like, yeah, we should do a spinoff, and then it never happens.
And it never happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would really like Michael Sheen as like a bad guy. I think that would be really fun.
I think so as well.
That's what I want. Make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, you know who might make a good Bond, who's kind of like on the younger side?
Yeah.
The actor that played Neville in Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, he could definitely.
He's really hot now.
He's quite handsome, yeah, and like, he could get a little more cut, and then Yeah, no, that's a pretty good choice, actually. He kind
Kind
of
of
almost has
like,
that Clive Owen-esque kind of thing going on.
yeah, he's under the radar a little bit too. He's not like in a lot of blockbusters right now.
Yeah. No, that's a good casting. I like it.
Thank you. Who owns the rights to Bond? Is it Universal?
Well, so it's actually the Broccoli family owns the rights to the James Bond movies,
Who?
and the Broccoli family. It's literally a family, and so they've worked with different companies. Like so, United Artists were doing it for a little while. MGM, I think, is still their main partner for distribution and stuff like that. But it's actually like a family that's been producing the movies since Doctor No, since the first one.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah,
listen up, Broccoli family.
yeah,
Devil is James Bond.
yeah,
Michael Sheen, bad guy. I
yeah.
don't care what he does as long as he's crazy. And then
And bring back Paloma.
bring back, yeah, Paloma would be a good Bond girl, right?
Yeah.
That would be fun. Have someone like competent. And then don't you need like a second Bond girl who kind of betrays him at some point? Isn't that the the template?
Some of them have that. Not all of them. You know what's also interesting? I guess, yeah, you could maybe speak to this as well, because this one really, yeah, I mean, you had Lea Seydoux, so you had Madeline, Nomi, and Paloma. Sort of had three Bond women in this one. But
Mm-hmm.
watching the movies, I guess if you haven't seen a lot of them, but like you've seen Casino Royale, Vesper, she was there and she was kind of represented the Crown's money, but she didn't really like mix it up or do anything like actiony. But in so many of the Bond movies, especially the Roger Moore era ones, like I know they get flack for having like the Bond woman or the Bond girl, but like without the Bond girl, he would not succeed in the Bond plot.
Yeah.
Like so many of them, like again, I'm thinking of like in Moonraker, Dr. Goodhead. She's an astronaut and a CIA agent, and he would have failed without her. So I'm like, she's not like. But again, I think it gets mixed up with like because then you have Dr. Christmas Jones, who's played by why am I spacing on her name? Denise Richards, and it's like
Oh yeah.
it's like that's not good, right? Like so it's like it swings between the extremes of like competent CIA agent woman and then like weird hanger-on Bond girl, right?
That would be fun to have like okay. So you have Paloma is his
Yeah.
like Bond girl.
Mm,
And then it would be fun to have somebody that was like, you know how like in Spider-Man, he's got his guy in the chair?
sure. Gotta have the guy in
Have
the
a
chair.
female guy in the chair. Have a gal in the chair.
Sure. So instead of Q, I mean it's a female Q or something like that, right?
Yeah, female Q. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Put a quirky. She'd have to be either quirky or super professional. Like it'd be one or the other, I feel like.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah,
that's
have that. Hey, and here's a twist. Neither of them fall for Bond. They fall for each other. Put some lesbians in there.
sure.
Why isn't anyone hiring me to write movies?
Because they're not listening to our show, clearly.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know I just mentioned Spider-Man, but I do think like Zendaya would be a cool like gal in the chair, like a cool Q.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you got Zendaya, you got Paloma, you got Neville running around, you got Michael Sheen. Like, what else do you want?
I mean, it's got to be maybe well written.
Yeah, it does have to be well written. That's correct.
Yeah.
But I think I've just cast the next James Bond movie. I think it could be a lot of fun. Let's do it. Have your people call my people.
Well, and I was saying, like, I don't know how old Anna de Armas is or how old Neville Longbottom is. Apologies because I don't know his name. But I was gonna say, like, even if she's older, that could be kind of cool because then she has more experience in the field now at this point and could like show him some tricks or something like that and like.
I think
Whatever
Neville's in like his early 30s.
Yeah.
And I think she's
probably in her 20s.
probably younger than him.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well.
She's probably in her like mid-20s, I'm going to say.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that could be fun. That would be a fun movie. Let's make it happen. Who would be a new M though? They need to have like a certain amount of gravitas.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And they have to be believable as a head of an organization. So they should probably be like older than 40.
Yeah. Spacing
And
on,
British, right? They'd have to be British.
or at least be
There
able
we
to
go.
do.
David Tennant is M.
I was gonna say that initially, but then I was like, no, we got to save him for a villain.
No, but like him and Michael Sheen have like they have like a rivalry. Maybe Michael Sheen's plot is to kill M because M didn't go out for dinner with him, or so, I don't know what. Long-standing rivalry. Bond's got to save M. Damsel in distress is actually a dude. I love it. Love it. Print it. Done.
$200 million and bam, 800 million at the box office, easy.
Yeah, perfect. Every fangirl of Good Omens would go see that movie.
Yeah.
So you got the Good Omens fandom, you got the Harry Potter fandom, you got the Knives Out fandom, like
there's Spider-Man fandom.
This is gonna do bank.
Yeah.
Got lesbians in it. Or they can be bi or pan. I'm not picky. It's fine.
Sure. Yeah.
And Moneypenny should be like a hot young dude too. Like I think that M should have like a hot twink as his assistant. And that's it. That's all I got to say about that.
Fair enough. Yep. French.
Should we wrap it up, I guess, or did you want
to? Yeah, I think so. I mean,
or do we just start writing this on air?
No, I don't think I have anything more to say. Like I said, the Daniel Craig era is finished. Like I said, he gets nuked at the end. But I think there's some quality movies in there, more so than bad. It's just unfortunate that he got saddled with a couple not so good ones. But I think it's because they were just trying to do too much in the movies, whereas more simple ones like Casino Royale, Skyfall, which are the two better ones, it was a simple plot. And it's just like, yeah, that's what works for James Bond. It doesn't have to be this big thing. Like, yes, it can be a big thing, but it doesn't have to be many elements to be a big thing. Like, again, going back to some of the older era ones, it's like, yeah, you have some fun stuff in a space base or a cave or whatever, but it's still like, the plot is the bad guy is going to do something bad and we stop him. Like, that's the plot.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. So, and, like I said, unfortunate, but I liked Daniel Craig as James Bond. So
I don't mind him.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't really have deep thoughts about Daniel Craig as James Bond.
Yeah, well, and like I said at the beginning, I was interested to hear your thoughts about this, being that it's the last one in kind of this set, and you weren't as familiar with the franchise, and I was curious that I would be like, would someone in that position enjoy the movie? And it sounds like sort of is the answer.
I enjoyed it because it was a well-made movie. Yeah. I didn't understand the plot. Prior to this, I couldn't really explain why anybody was doing anything in the movie. Yeah. But it didn't mean that it wasn't visually stunning, and it didn't have interesting moments, and it didn't engage me. It just meant that I wasn't sure what was going on or why people were doing things.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know if I would recommend it to other people. I would probably say go for Casino Royale or Skyfall instead, like one of the more standalone ones.
Yeah.
If you've never seen a Bond movie, if you've never seen a Daniel Craig Bond movie, that would be my recommendation over. Is it time to die? No.
No. I double checked. Not the time.
Is it time? No, not yet.
Can't schedule it in.
Can't schedule it in. Sorry. I'm glad that we were talking yesterday because I was going to watch Skyfall. I thought that was the latest one.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, the newest one, Skyfall.
Nope, it was a while ago.
I guess I should wrap it up, hey?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe or whatever. You can find us on Instagram, Tome of Uselessness. You can check out our website, tomeofuselessness.com. And you can email us if you have a suggestion, tomeofuselessness@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Or if you know why Safin had any motivation to do anything beyond kill Spectre, please let me know. I'm dying to find out. And that's it. Bye.
Yeah, stay safe and thanks for listening.